Hi, this is Yesha, therapist from the Mood Space. On the occasion of International Men's Day, we're here to have a much needed conversation about mental health and well being of men and how they navigate through challenges around them. While the last few years, the conversations around mental health have been more inclusive, as a society, we still struggle with the notion that men can't be emotional, men can't be crying, and I'm sure there are many more. These becoming a barrier to men talking about their vulnerabilities and asking for support. To speak more about men's mental health and understand the various nuances of the same, we have with us immediate past district Rotaract representative Rahesh. Hi Rahesh.
Hi Yesha, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All good, all good.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions about mental health. What do the current conversations around mental health look like in your community? Do you see men speaking up? If yes, what are some of the common themes that you see?
All right, I think I'll answer the first question as to what are the conversations like around mental health at the moment. I feel, and this is coming from the youth segment, the conversation of mental health is right out there. People talk about it. I still feel there's a lot of hesitance and there's a lot of reluctance when it comes to the fact of accepting it for themselves. It's something that people can talk about and recommend to others. However, I think there's still kind of a level of resistance towards people to accepting that even we should be open to probably, going to a therapist or going or seeking some kind of professional help when it comes to the mental well-being of our own self. When I come to the second aspect of that question, and I think it was the conversation revolving around men, right?
Speaking of,
I think it's a very big mountain that still exists. I think men still don't feel comfortable in talking about their mental well-being. I've had it numerous times and at numerous occasions that when you're in a mixed group and a professional atmosphere, it actually is okay to talk about your mental health. But the moment you go to a very, a candid conversation, you even go for a boys' night out, and if you're talking to your guys and you're telling that you're not in a safe, a good space, or you're in a space where you feel that you need some kind of mental assistance, doesn't really work out. Those conversations still get stereotyped as a guy shouldn't be having this kind of a conversation. Just shrug it off and move on. It's okay. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Overreacting, so or you're not strong enough, so it's still very taboo to find that safe space amongst men in itself. However, in a mixed group, in a professional atmosphere, it seems much more easier, but on a friendly atmosphere, I still don't think men are comfortable to talk to each other about their mental well-being.
Absolutely. So when you talk about the stigmas, what steps do you think we can take to destigmatize the conversations around mental health in especially community spaces?
Okay, something I think that I figured out, and I figured out in a very different way, is the biggest stigma for me when it was to talk about mental health was getting that level of acceptance from the other men in your life, right? So like, for example, when I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, that's when my family took the initiative to read about it. And when they read about it, I think the best thing that could happen to me was probably my father coming up to me and saying that I read this and I know it comes hereditary and there's a possibility that you got it from me, because now when I read everything, I realized I've felt like that all my life. And I just never knew that that was a problem. I just never knew that that needed professional help. I was always told that, that this is something that you have to deal with. And I think seeing a male figure who you look up to, bringing that barrier down and saying that, it's not a stigma, I think that's the easiest way that you can break down that, the issues that surround it, like to make it a more candid conversation. I've had this myself then later, much later, when I went public about my mental health, when I used social media to talk about how I feel, how I have, manic episodes, how I have low episodes. how I'm coping with that. I've had people reaching out to me, and I've had men reaching out to me saying that, and I'm talking about people who were with me in school, probably who were with me in college, people who have had a work relationship with, coming up to me and saying that, you know what, these are things that I have seen in myself. Do you think I need to seek professional help? Do you think I need to speak to someone? And I think it's when more men become more vocal, um, and to be honest, precisely men who are in the public spotlight start talking about it. I think that's when a lot of the stigma towards mental health for men will start to diminish, start tapering down. I still feel, even although mental health in the public eye for a lot of celebrities and all of that has been right out there and they've been very outspoken about it, I still feel in that a ratio to men to women ratio over there would still be lesser. You still have very few men who are talking about it. You have more women who are, empowered enough to say that, and be, don't feel vulnerable to talk about it. But men are very less, very, very, very less. And I think the moment more men start talking about it, that stigma automatically will start to diminish.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being so candid about your own journey and your struggles with mental health. And since Rotaract is a youth organization and you've been working with younger people, have you seen a shift in the way younger men have started talking about their mental health?
Yes, definitely. So, we've been having this conversation, and in Rotaract, we've had mental health as a thrust area for the past few years. Men have been talking about this very particular conversation that we are having on, that it's okay to feel your emotions as a man as well. And this has been something that the youth have been talking about for a while now. And I'm sure you would have come across content, and this is not just Rotaract related, but just general content of campaigns of, these of different youth organizations that have spoken about that it's okay for men to feel this way. It's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to feel vulnerable at instances and not always have to be the rock in every situation. People are talking about it. The awareness has happened, and I feel we have, and when I say we as a community, as a society, have probably left no stone unturned when it comes to bringing out this awareness, especially within the youth. So the youth are very aware of this, but again, as I mentioned earlier, the reluctance to say that, okay, this is the time that I've spoken about it. Now, why not I have a experience of what it is like to keep a check on my well-being. I've admitted it that it's okay to talk about it. I've made it socially acceptable amongst my circles, but why, if it's okay to tell people that did you visit the gym today, and it's a normal conversation where you can meet a friend and say, I just went to the gym, my trainer really like took it up a notch, my arms are hurting, my legs are hurting. Why is it still a problem to say, oh, I can't meet you today evening because I have my therapy session, and I think we have not reached there yet with the youth. That's that last mile that needs to happen, I feel.
I completely agree with you. And a very important thing that you mentioned was being a rock, always being the rock. So do you feel this pressure to be the strong person? And do you think it comes up when you're asking for support or when others will be asking for support?
I definitely do it. I definitely think it does come as a stereotype that has been put into your head. And, there are instances where you would like to feel your emotion, you would like to be in touch with your emotion, but you, as a man, you are programmed, and probably have to unlearn this first, but you're programmed to feel that you need to be the most stable person over here for other people around you, right? So you always sideline your own emotion, whatever you feel, and you prioritize the emotions of the people around you so that they can, they have that strength for in that is reciprocated from you, that basically reflects from your strength, which kind of creates this issue of you having a lot of bottled emotions, and and as a man you then go to this defense mechanism wherein you always prioritize other people over you, and you probably sideline your emotions for a very long period of time. It's going to be it's really hard not to be in this situation, to be honest, because I think as men we also like doing that. I think I don't know if I speak on behalf of all men, but I think in a way that when as a man, if you are driving or being able to empower somebody else, it's a very empowering feeling yourself. And I think that drives a lot of men not to show their emotion, especially men who come from families where probably they are the only male in the surrounding, right? Like again, I'll take my example. So I'm the only son. I have a sister, but as a son, I'm the only son. So if anything ever goes wrong, it's acceptable for everyone else to get hysteric. But what is expected out of me is, you're the one who's supposed to have the cool head. You're the one who's supposed to think logically when everyone else is thinking emotionally. So you need to be there to make those decisions for the family, because everyone right now is on an emotional high. So you need to be there. When there have been deaths in the family, when there have been issues in the family, you really see the difference coming out. You really see you see the people who are supposed to sideline their emotion, put it aside and do the logical thing, run around doing paperwork, doing all of that. Meanwhile, the rest are get that opportunity to sit and absorb and just reflect on what they have lost. Whereas generally the men don't get that opportunity, and especially again, as I mentioned, if you're the only man in the family, it kind of becomes harder. And I think, it's a default setting in every man's head, which probably has to be. We need to learn how to turn it on and turn it off. That switch, unfortunately, is not something that everybody has control over. But it's a default setting that you are the rock of the family, so you need to be as stable as possible.
That would be so difficult, especially even if you are also grieving, as you mentioned, death, to always put your emotion aside and take this on. So while we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
What does work-life balance mean to you as an entrepreneur?
I think you've asked like $1 million question for me. It's a paradox over here, to be honest, because on one side, as an entrepreneur, you never stop working. As an employee, you always have working hours that end. As an entrepreneur, it really never ends. Even socially, if you're going outside, you're networking, you are trying to create inroads, trying to figure out opportunities for your business, and how you can scale your business. So the work-life balance basically is not a balance. It's not even a scale. It's not even a seesaw. It's where it takes everything away from you. And we are in that period where people talk about the hustle culture, the grind culture, and I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs overdoing it. Just becoming such workaholics that they really don't find that way to have a personal life and something like that. I've had the honor, or the luck, if I would say, to be introduced to Rotaract, which kind of helped me balance that out. Wherein, although the entrepreneurial journey was taxing, there was also a part of it that was where I was giving my time back to give back to society. And be at a pioneer position where I could probably mold or lead a huge set of people who are basically the future of the community in itself, because much younger to me. I think that was the thing that helped me balance, and it kept my mental health at check. But for the past 4 months, when I've let go of that position and I've let go of Rotaract in general, that's been where it's been hard, because that's when it's become just work, and it's become only work, and there's nothing else that balances it out. So for me, that's why I said, for me, it's no more a work-life balance. It's just a one-sided heavy, a work schedule, and there's nothing on the other end of the seesaw. And that's also a reason why I think associating with the mood space has been really important, because I'm really looking forward to channeling that void into a conversation, which probably then would bring that back into a balance. Right now, it's just scales tip to one side.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's going to be an exciting journey, I think, to get the work-life harmony that you are looking at. So the last question to you is, as what is the message that you'd like to give the larger society as a male figure?
I think the biggest message that I would like to let everybody know is the idea of acceptance for oneself. I think the hardest taboo is not the society; it's your own judgment of yourself, willing to accept that I need help and I can talk about my emotion. When you come into acceptance to that, I think all the other stigmas around mental health just vanish, because it's that acceptance. It's as simple as when you're at 102-degree fever, weakness. You admitted that you need to see a doctor. You need to go. I mean, because it's physically not possible for you to do more, and you are able to come to that acceptance and that point where you can admit that you need help. And I think the same thing needs to happen with mental health. So it's not about what people will say, because people are anyhow going to talk whether you take help, you don't take help. If anything, they probably be telling that this person needs help behind your back. You might as well just take help and know and admit it when when the water is above your nose, when you feel that moment where you can't take it anymore. It's good to seek help and continue that help, because help is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not like a wildfire that you just pour a bucket of water and it just extinguishes. It's a lot of self development, and you need to be open to that process. It enhances you as a person. And I think that's like the biggest takeaway that people should go away with, that we kind of need to remember that if we feel that our shoulders are getting a little too heavy, there is no harm in accepting help from someone, and probably sharing that burden. You definitely will feel lighter.
Thank you so much. I think that was really, really insightful. And I really hope that this opens up more conversations for men and about mental health to happen in the future.
Definitely, Yesha, and thanks to the Mood Space for having me over here. It's been an absolute pleasure interacting with you all. And I think as long as organizations like you all keep pursuing and doing this fight, it's not an easy fight, but organizations like you that are making those inroads and doing these pioneer things to ensure that conversations like this do happen. I think the narrative of the men in men's mental health, at least through the fabric of our country, will start to change. I still think it's something that only Tier 1 cities are talking about. We haven't even penetrated where the actual masses are. But I'm sure that it's going to be a drop-down effect. It's going to be a trickle-down effect. And the moment like organizations like you all start having these conversations, I'm sure it will reach far and wide and actually make an actual impact.
I absolutely agree, and really looking forward to that reality where conversations are without stigma and everybody is okay to ask for help when they really need it.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yesha.